What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Live Loud Life podcast. Today is a special episode because I am recording this one in a car. Tuesdays and Thursdays are kind of, I don't want to say like mobile days, but I drop off the kids with either my mother-in-law or my mom, and then I go to the office and help out, or just a coffee shop, admin work, so on and so forth. So between having to wait a little bit, I had the equipment with me, and I had some thoughts on my mind based on a patient experience yesterday. So I figured we'd roll and see what happens. So, thus you can see, this is actually my mother-in-law's vehicle. It's not even the awesome minivan or 4Runner that we have, but we're making it work and we're making it happen. So we're just going to jump into it because based on the time of when she said she was leaving, we got just a few minutes here. No housekeeping that I can think of, other than depending on this won't air before. I was gonna say we have our a grand opening coming up, but I have a feeling this isn't gonna air till afterwards, so disregard that. But on that note, if you want more information and updates about what we're doing or products or just different things that are going on, be sure to follow us on Instagram, is where we're most active. Our Instagram handle is at live.loud.life. YouTube, more and more videos coming out, educational, so on and so forth. You see these podcast episodes there as well if you like watching the video and getting to see the natural environment that I am in. And obviously on Facebook, Facebook is a little bit more of where we are active, like on our personal pages, so on and so forth. So be sure to check us out. You can also go to our website, www.liveloudlife.com, where you can subscribe for our newsletter, so on and so forth. So without further ado, we are going to jump right into it. So this episode is essentially talking about progress, even though you have gone backwards. Which, we've heard the saying, 2 steps back, 1 step forward, or 1 step back to go 2 steps forward, however you want, to articulate that. The whole point, though, is the needle consistently moving forward? And that's what's most important. Now, when we're talking about injury, pain, recovery from an injury or from pain, or for a lot of our patients, recovery when you're postpartum and you've just had a baby, all of these things are applicable. It just kind of, you just kind of take where you're at and apply this, right? And again, the application is going to be different, obviously, for the context of where you are, so on and so forth. We're not getting into every single minor detail of the situation that you may or may not be in. But what we wanted to talk about, right, is that progression that still comes with the frustration of maybe feeling like you've gone backwards. So here's the context that we're talking about. I have a patient. This individual patient is a custom designer, landscaper, for lack of a better term. So you want something awesome for your backyard, your front yard, all the way from decks to pergolas, so on and so forth. This is your guy, and he's been doing it for over 25 years. And obviously, for those of you who've done any sort of landscaping in your house or helped anybody, you know that it's hard work. And it's hot, long days typically, and you're lifting heavy, odd objects, which is really kind of important. And he has been through a number of back episodes that would, based on his symptoms and how he described it, lead me to believe multiple disc bulges, herniations, injuries, so on and so forth. And his presentation for coming into our office this time was the exact same thing, only this time was on its left side, and he has not bounced back like he has. Now, this individual is also an epic adventurer. The dude loves to do anything on board: skateboard, snowboard, recently stand-up paddleboarding, river surfing, foil surfing, you name it, this guy is doing it. And just like some gnarly stuff that he's shown me too on his video, which is quite epic. So not only is he lifting heavy stuff on a daily basis, his body is being thrashed and torn around depending on his crashes and what he's doing, and just how he's coiling and rolling and twisting his spine and his body to be able to perform these activities is very impressive. So we have this interesting balance of the adventures that he loves to do, but the job that he actually really, really loves doing and brings him a lot of enjoyment. And not only is his form of bringing in income for his family and himself, It's where do you find that opportunity to create changes, right? And this is his situation scenario. We can parallel that to someone who's maybe not doing intense sports, but is going through an injury where everything seems a lot more intense, right? If you're a new postpartum mom, your core is kind of shot for the first few weeks and everything feels so challenging and hard where it just seems so drastic of a mountain or a hill to overcome that it is very challenging. And what we're looking for is the small wins that add up, right? So realistically, in any disc herniation, sorry, I'm cracking this door here. Hopefully that little bit of hum of I-70 you can't hear in the background, but I need a little airflow. What we're saying, the consistency of these small wins adding up on each other is what's really important, right? And what we want to be able to do, I apologize, that was too loud in the back. What we want to be able to do is enjoy those small wins, but also look at how much of a setback did we have if we do have one. Because again, in the recovery process, it's never just while on the macro scale it might look very linear or kind of exponential. On a daily basis or the micro level, you're going to see these ups and down progressions. And I always use the example of a constant game of chutes and ladders. Only this time, with the proper evaluation and assessment, you have a really good idea of where those ladders are that can help you elevate and take you to the next level. And more importantly, where the chutes or the slides that take you down are, right? Because again, we don't want to play this constant game of just rolling the dice and see what happens. We are trying to be a lot more specific and articulate about what we're giving and why we're giving it and how to avoid the downfalls and improve and increase our ability to go up to that next level. So coming back to the story, this individual came with minor radicular pain down into the left side, obviously a clear amount of lower back discomfort. That was flexion intolerant, rotation intolerant, basically indicating a lot of things that when the spine moved too much, it did not like it, especially in those flexion and rotation positions. And this individual, obviously being kind of the solo entrepreneur that he is he's doing the majority of this landscaping and work within his business. He has a little bit of assistance and help. There are certain things that just he has to do. So we work around. This is how you lift. This is how you move. This is how you create leverage to ensure that you are not overloading the back and you're sharing that load between the knees, the hips, and so on and so forth. And then we gave him what I call your get out of jail free card. Your get out of jail free card these are the movements that if for whatever reason something happens and you're hurting, these will help you get out of pain relatively fast and relatively easy. And for disc pain, disc bulges, and injuries like that, we have a handful that work really well. Now, they are not the sole fix to deal with whatever's going on, but it will tremendously and drastically help you with things if they do flare up, and then consistently doing them to help you kind of feed forward in that positive direction as we layer on other things. So we got him to a great spot from where he was to where we saw him. He's like, man, I'm feeling good. I'm able to actually work with less pain. There's still some things here and there. And up comes the 4th of July. And he's like, I got this event. I got a buddy's band playing and there's a river right there. I'm gonna go river surfing and just, I'm gonna hang out. I'm gonna try to do all these things. I'm like, hey, listen to your body. We've progressed a long ways. My hesitation is that this could set you back. So just understand that, get a good warm up in, go through all the things that we told you, so on and so forth. And this is always the hardest part about being a clinician, of allowing someone to partake in the things that bring them so much joy and love in their life, while also being hesitant about certain things that might flare them up. And it's bitten me in the butt before, and I apologize to those patients where I probably granted a little bit too much for them to do based on my opinion. Obviously, it's your body, your choice. And in some of those situations and scenarios, just like this one, my interpretation of what they said they were gonna do was much different than what they came back and told me they actually did. So this individual was hanging out, the band was playing, he's up there dancing and bouncing around and doing his thing, and then he's feeling great. He'd go back into the water. hit a couple laps on his stand-up paddleboard where he's doing river surfing. Here in Colorado, he's literally surfing the river going down, which again is quite epic. And he's taking hard thrashes and turns as he's turning the board in the water, so on and so forth, and really kind of coiling and moving the body. And he's like, while I was doing it, I felt amazing. Like it felt like nothing was going on. It felt great. And woke up the next morning feeling like he went backwards. And he was just so frustrated, so frustrated. And we were kind of walked him down the quote unquote ledge from what we were dealing with, and we really started having that that hard conversation of understanding what we did, why it happened, so on and so forth. But more importantly, how much did we go backwards? How much progress did we actually lose? And as he was thinking about it, it's kind of tough to put a number on that sometimes. He was thinking, about 30%. I probably went backwards about 30%. And so we highlighted this. And what's really important, what I want you guys to understand is sometimes when we're looking at progress, and this is, we're trying to understand progress on the macro scale, is you're going to have setbacks. You're going to have setbacks. Whether, and this is pain, injury, recovery, whatever that is, this is in business, this is in life, this is in relationships, so on and so forth. Everyone knows you're going to have setbacks, especially as you're working to grow something and you're working to build something and having this kind of this goal mentality ahead of you. But understanding in this specific individual situation, he went, and this is the dude that he is. I'm like, man, you were going 100%. He's like, no, man, I was going 120%. Like he was just loving life. He was in the zone and he was doing his thing and he was letting it go, feeling great. And so he was describing, he's like, I was going 120%. I was going hard because I felt good. And I'm like, all right, this is awesome. Like consider you went 120%, like harder than you ever have in your sport and enjoying life. Granted, it was not the work cycle and you only went back 30%. And 30% might seem like a lot, but keep in mind, we've only saw him for a handful of sessions and everything that we did that got him to that good spot before the setback of 30%, it'll work again. We just need to rinse and repeat. And now we know that threshold of what set us back a little bit more. So we just have to be a little bit we have to be a little smarter the next time we want to go dancing and partying and maybe hard river surfing, right? So whatever that situation is for you, you have to keep that context in mind on the macro scale. Yes, it is super frustrating to go backwards when you have an injury and you're recovering, but there's always something that could be better understood and something that you can learn from the process that will help you along the global macro scale. And it's not that learning experience is going to be something that's consistent and something that you always have to be careful of. So for instance, with lower back pain, one of the things that is often coached and instructed is that flexing your back is bad because flexion intolerance don't tolerate flexion well. So at a certain standpoint, we know that flexion might not be the ideal movement for you. So we teach hip hinging. We try to teach you how to load the hips, the knees better so that you can take load off the lower back. But we always emphasize that this depends on the context of the situation, right? If you're a landscaper and you're lifting a heavy stone, yes, by all means, you need to be able to use the legs more than the hip. And lifting with your legs means something a little bit different than most of you think. It's really just about how to hinge and leverage the load, stiffening the spine so that you can hold, and then using the legs to actually move. But that has long-term potential detriment to the individual, especially if it's taken in the context of anytime I lift anything, whether that be a pencil or keys or anything else, I need to do it with the straight back. All of a sudden, we have lost a ton of necessary mobility within the spine that should occur on a natural basis. So again, context of what we're trying to achieve and where we're trying to go with the global macro scale of the recovery process, so on and so forth. So again, I wanted to share this story because there are many patients and clients that we have, many of you who have dealt with injuries before and feel very frustrated about the quote unquote yo-yoing process of what you're going through. And again, what we could also consider, right, is if you are consistently yo-yoing, we're missing that learning opportunity. For many of us, it's a sit and wait or do the things that we know that kind of works, but then we go right back to that 120%, that sport, whatever that is, and we miss out on the learning opportunity that our body's trying to teach us with the movement or activity that we're trying to do. So we need to be perceptive, we need to be observative, we need to be paying attention to those signs and signals, because sometimes if we don't, it leads to something bigger down the road. Your body's smart. Oftentimes your body is going to stop and slow you down well before an injury actually occurs, especially if it's some sort of repetitive movement and we're not talking like a single time load. You're running and twisting your ankle, so on and so forth. But these repetitive things that kind of creep up on us or yo-yo over for years, the story of I got a bad shoulder, I got a bad back, I got a bad neck, whatever that is. For some of those people, it's only a matter of time before something more drastic happens, which then makes the recovery process a lot more challenging. So be perceptive, be observant, be observant about what's going on through that process. So again, short little clip here. I hope this was helpful for you. Understand that we're playing the long game here. Health and wellness is about the long game. It's about getting more repetitions in. It's about challenging yourself. It's about finding your edge, seeing what areas or weaknesses, quote unquote, if you want to call them that need to be worked on or addressed. And it always helps to have a professional, strength and conditioning coach, personal trainer, physical therapist, chiropractor, whoever that is in your corner that you can bounce these ideas off. I mean, again, this is what we're skilled at doing, and we want to be able to be a solid resource for you to make make those decisions a little bit easier, to help guide that path for you. Obviously, the best path is through the exploration, but it's super nice having a coach along the way who can help direct you and navigate that path as you continue to chop through the weeds and work your way through it. So, know that there's positive on the other side of it, especially if you have been dealing with something that's been chronic. If you have and you're super frustrated, reach out to help. Me, someone else, Google. It takes a little bit of a vetting process to find good practitioners for you, but it is possible. It is out there, and I know you guys can do it. So I hope this story of Rich was super inspiring for you. Again, this dude's going 120% with a back that most of us would be sitting down relaxing with. So it's you can do more and you should do more. It's just finding that right amount and knowing what is right for you. So thanks for tuning in, guys. Again, please subscribe, leave us a comment, share it, whatever you can do to help us grow this message, and give us some questions and topics ideas, because we want to hear what you're struggling with and what topics and ideas are going to be best for you to help you live the adventurous life that you are made for. This is Dr. Antonio. Live loud. Ooh, podcast in a car in the middle of summer of Colorado without AC. Burning.